Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second public session of the Haverford Township Board of Commissioners. This is January 9th, 2017, and the commissioners met in executive session prior to this public meeting to discuss a real estate matter and a legal matter. Mr. Secretary, if you would please take the roll.
Certainly. Mr. D'Amelio?
Here.
Mr. McCluskey?
Here.
Mr. Siegel?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Holmes will not be here this evening. Mr. McGarity?
Here.
Mr. Wexler? Mr. Oliva?
Here.
And Mr. Connell.
Here. We are privileged tonight to have Chaplain Casey Boname from the Lankenau Hospital to lead us in our opening prayer. If everyone would please stand, if you can.
I invite you to take a posture of reflection and prayer as we begin. First, notice our bodies warming as we take refuge from this cold night. Let us take several deep breaths and center ourselves and prepare us for what is about to begin. May you receive this blessing. Tonight, we meet to serve our community. May we use our resources wisely and well to represent all members of our community fairly. May we make decisions that promote the common good. As we celebrate a new year with all of its resolutions and expectations, may we recognize our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and the community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and our efforts here today. May this be a space of productivity and peace for those present here and all in our Haverford community. Today and always, may we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. I ask that please remain standing and that we take a moment of silence for those who we hold dear to us, in particular Dory LaSorsa, who had passed away, township staff member, and those who you hold dear to yourself. Thank you very much. We'll ask that the Boy Scouts of America please lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, our first proclamation that we have this evening is going to be run by Mr. McGarity, and that is the cross-country and the other gentlemen that are going up. This is a cross-country Coast National Youth Championship. Who else is going up?
Yes, Kevin McCluskey and Mario and Chris Connell. There's boys from each of these wards and girls from each of these wards. That's why they're coming up with it. Okay. Wait a minute, I'll take this off so that I can see she can't hear me. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Haverford, County of Delaware, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, takes great pleasure in acknowledging and accomplishments of local youth sports teams, and whereas the Board of Commissioners wish to congratulate 10 cross-county runners that qualified to participate in the cross-country National Youth Championship held in Evansville, Indiana on Saturday, November the 19th, 2016. They represented the Philadelphia CYO cross-country team, and whereas more than 2,400 youth athletes between the ages of 6 and 18 from 32 different states participated. And whereas the following players have proven the value of hard work, determination, and good sportsmanship. I'll start off with Drew Kinesby from the 2nd Ward. Mr. Oliva. Come on up, Drew. And Drew Gillespie, also from Mr. Oliva's. Kieran Benaher from Mr. Connell's ward. Oh, you have to give me one of these. There, that's it. Thank you. Oh, this is my grandson. I'll tell you, this has got to be my favorite here. Brian McGarity. There you are. Thank you, Brian. Okay. A.J. Frank from the 8th Ward, Chris Connell. Cooper Smith from Mr. McCluskey's ward, Cooper Smith. Ben Zachary from Mr. Oliva's ward in the 2nd Ward, Ben. Brandon Doherty from Mr. McCluskey's ward. Mackenzie Gillespie from Mario Oliva's ward. Oh, and who do we have left? Oh, it's Molly Doherty. Come on up, Molly. All right, I went to a couple of their meets, and believe me, it was in Philadelphia in Fairmount Park, and believe me, the parents, the kids, there's a lot to do down there in Fairmount Park, and the participation, it takes all day, and not only to go to this, but all the practices that they have, and the determination and the workouts that they do. So I give the parents a lot of credit, because it's not one of these things you go and spend 1 hour like you do at some ball games and that. But this, they spend 5-6 hours there, and the kids are running, and they did great. It's quite an honor to have these Haverford Township youths here tonight, that they did such a good job out of 2,400. Congratulations. Okay.
Get in behind him. Get in behind him. Please come out just a little bit this way. There we go. You're gonna have to pick that up.
Larry, you better get 5 more just in case.
Got you in there, dude. You're good.
I wasn't worried about me.
I don't know about that.
Otherwise.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Mr. Lewis.
Yep.
Next, we have a Eagle Scout for Mr. Lewis, and this is Mr. Shearer.
Good evening, everyone. At first, I'd like to acknowledge that about a third of our audience tonight are Scout leaders and members of Boy Scout Troop Number 19, who are here to fulfill a Communications Merit Badge requirement, number 9, specifically, and they have to attend a public meeting, and it could have been the school board, but you chose the Board of Commissioners, so thank you for being here this evening, and hope you learned from this experience. I'm pleased tonight, on behalf of my colleagues on the Board of Commissioners and the residents of Haverford Township, to recognize a young adult who has distinguished himself through his service to his church, his community, his school, and his Boy Scout troop, Marcus Shura. And are your parents here this evening? Would you come forward, David, as well? I'd like to, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, read this proclamation into the record, acknowledging his significant achievement. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Haverford, County of Delaware, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, takes great pleasure in acknowledging notable achievements of young adults in the community. And whereas the Board of Commissioners wish to applaud Marcus Jacob Schura of the Boy Scouts of America, Troop 434, in the Cradle of Liberty Council, Lanark Presbyterian Church in Haverford, Pennsylvania, for attaining the rank of Eagle Scout and completing his Eagle Scout project. Whereas Marcus's Eagle Scout project was to relocate and improve an information kiosk at the local community recreation and environmental center, and like such projects, the tasks require organization, determination, negotiation, and other leadership skills. And whereas during his 7 years in Troop 434, he was a patrol leader, troop historian, and senior patrol leader. Marcus was voted into the Order of the Arrow by the other scouts and given a Scout Spirit Award by the troop's adult leaders. And whereas currently Marcus is studying economics in the Honors College at George Mason University and hopes to use his skills to improve secondary teaching of the field. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Haverford, County of Delaware, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that said Board of Commissioners hereby congratulates Marcus Jacob Shira for your many contributions to your community with your long hours of service and dedicated work. Our blessings go with you as you face new opportunities and challenges. Proclaimed this 9th day of January, 2017 by the Board of Commissioners. Congratulations on this.
What's that? I don't know.
The one that's going, okay. Yeah. Well. Okay, at the end of the meeting, okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Lewis. And if I could please ask Mr. and Mrs. Green to bring up their son Alex for Eagle Scout Award. Thank you very much for coming this evening, and congratulations on your Eagle Scout. On a personal note, I've known Alex for many years. His name has actually come up at our dinner table many times. But you've grown into a fine young man. And all. He's very outgoing and always got a great sense of humor. The achievement of Eagle Scout, it's not surprising that when you have parents that are very involved in the community and very involved in so many different things, as Mr. and Mrs. Green are, it's no surprising that it wears off on the kids, and here we have another Eagle Scout. So congratulations, and congratulations to Mom and Dad for a great job of getting your son this far in life. Oh, there's so much more to do. So if I'll please read this, and actually, Alex, did some work at Chatham Park School, the playground area. Would you like to share with us some of the things that you did to enhance it? Now, Alex went to Chatham Park School, and he gave back to the community.
So I'm going to talk to this.
Sure, talking to that. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so my brother, who's also an Eagle Scout, he's a year older than me. He did a project at Chatham where he put picnic benches in, and I thought, why don't I just finish the job and help the park, the back playground as much as possible. So I took out the old railroad ties and put in new ones, fresh new ones, so they weren't all beaten up. And then I repainted all the old rusted metal on the top playground, the oldest one, to just make it new and make it better.
Good job. So if I may, I'll read this. As it reads, whereas the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Haverford, County of Delaware, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, takes great pleasure in acknowledging notable achievements of young adults in the community. And whereas the Board of Commissioners wishes to applaud Alex Matthew Green of the Boy Scouts of America, Troop 434, Lanark, PA, for attaining the rank of Eagle Scout. And whereas for Alex Eagle Scout project, he organized and led, along with scouts, parents, and volunteers, the refurbishing of the playground area at the Chatham Park Elementary School in Havertown, Pennsylvania. And whereas, a token of his appreciation for the tremendous learning and development he experienced there as a student, Alex gave back to his elementary school. Now, Therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Haverford, County of Delaware, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that said Board of Commissioners hereby congratulates Alex Matthew Green for his many contributions to your community with your long hours and dedicated work. Our blessings go with you as you face new challenges in your life. This proclaimed date of the 17th day of December 2016, the Township of Haverford Board of Commissioners, Larry Gentili, Township Manager. Congratulations. Dad, want to say anything? No. No? Come on up.
Wise man.
That's what I'm with Dad. You're the guys that got him there. Absolutely.
You can go. Go ahead.
You know, just to say
Briefly for
a few
station
words
item
about
10.
the Eagle Scouts. A lot of people don't realize that when they make Eagle Scout, a lot of the Scouts do things for a lot of different reasons in the community. I know we were at Eagle Scout Award yesterday at St. Pius Church, and the fellow there had made a food garden for the homeless and the people in need of food. But a lot of things have done at the Massey House in Marple, at the Grange Estate in Haverford, and they do a lot of work, and we certainly appreciate all you do. And you younger fellows, get ready, because we hope you will make Eagle Scout like that young man did, because he worked hard to get it, and if you work hard, you will get it. Thank you.
Thank you. That commercial filled in perfectly. Okay. Good job. Okay, next on our agenda, let's see, we have the construction manager update, and Mrs. Wood-Up, if you want to do the introduction or no? It's your bailiwick.
Certainly. This is, Mr. Brennan is the project manager from Reynolds Construction. The project manager oversees the 5 multiple primes on the job for the new municipal services building at Minot and Darby Road.
Thank you.
I wanted to read something about the Manoa Fire Company. Good evening. We have 0 change orders to bring to the board at this very time. Currently, right now, the contingency exposure is right where it was at last time. It's about 36% of overall exposure on the contingency. We're just negotiating some pricing on several items before we would bring them to the board with the prime contractors. The progress right now has picked up since the last time we met. We've met with the general contractor and set a target date for start of structural steel on January 17th. And we backed that off with what items needed to complete prior to that. And currently we're right on track. They've got all the footings done on the exterior and foundation walls. Interior footings will complete tomorrow. Elevator pit is working. They have to do some masonry at the cell area because of the concrete plank that goes on needs to happen before the steel, but that's in a later sequence. So everything is on track for that. Underground plumbing is proceeding inside the building footprint. And we were expecting a schedule back from them showing the overall completion date. We did not get that. Unfortunately, we were supposed to get that today, but there was a family issue with their scheduler, and we expect that tomorrow. And then at that time, you'll have your full report from us, as we normally give you.
Right, all right. Okay. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, anything? We were briefed in the back, so thank you very much. Appreciate your time. All right, next on the agenda, Chief Viola for the Police Department crime update.
Thank you, Commissioner. Your police department report for December of 2016. The meter officers issued 73 parking tickets. That's down considerably from the usual amount. We had a 10-day period of free parking for the holidays, and we're down 2 meter personnel, which we got the okay to hire today. So we'll proceed with that and get the enforcement back up again. Traffic citations, 320 traffic citations were issued, and 213 written warnings. We had a robbery at the CVS store in Westchester Pike on 12/29. It was a retail theft, which turned into a strong arm robbery and an assault when the suspect struck the store employee. Suspect was detained by the employee. Police arrived at the scene. He was a juvenile from Philadelphia. We had burglaries on Foster Avenue, forced entry through a rear basement door, nothing taken. And early December, the 2400 block of Chestnut Avenue, no force, and the suspect was known to the victim. Burglary attempts in the 500 block of Kenmore Road, 400 block of College. Thefts from vehicle, 300 block of Strathmore, 300 block of Strathmore, 1600 block of Hampton, 1600 block of Colony, 1700 block of Hawthorne, 1600 block of Hampton, and on 1220 for the unit block of Lexington. On the Lexington Road, there was some continued into the first year. There was an arrest made. Upper Darby had 30 cars broken into. One that we had 5, and that continued from December into January. Upper Darby made an arrest. We were monitoring the situation. Turned out our detectives interviewed the suspect, and he owned up to 5 of our jobs in Haverford Township. They were solved. We have motor vehicle thefts, and that coincides with the Colony Lane on Hawthorne. And so there's 3 motor vehicle thefts. 2 on Hawthorne, 1 on Colony. One of those vehicles was recovered in Philadelphia. Philadelphia police has a suspect in custody. Obviously, he's not saying much, but he is charged with the motor vehicle theft. Canine usage, we had 8 canine usages in the period. Also, if I could go a little bit further on the burglaries, we had an arrest on that. I want to give a little more detail on that one. Just give me 1 second, I'll bring it up. On the early morning hours of January 1st, 17 burglars reported in the 400 block of Kenmore, 224 Sagamore, and 200 block of Kenmore Road. We had a description of the person. It matched a suspect that lived in Haverford Township. One of the houses had cameras on it. We had very good video of the suspect. One of our detectives then did a surveillance on the person's house, followed him, ended up stopping him a few days later and making an arrest. With that arrest, they found a credit card in the vehicle. It was stolen from one of the houses. He, in fact, then, after being interviewed by detectives, did take ownership of the burglaries. Now, we've had him in the past for multiple burglaries. He's on probation now for the same thing. His name is Andrew Benlian. He lives in the 400 block of Heatherwood Road. So he is under arrest, charged with our burglaries, plus he has a probation violation, so he's also on a detainer for that. So that was a good arrest by our detectives who did good detective work with some information that they had. They did a stakeout on the house and they cleared up 4 burglaries. So I'm happy to report that. My report.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chief. Number 5 on the agenda is the auditor's report. Mr. Zlotnick could not be with us tonight. The township manager, I believe, is filling in his space.
Certainly. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As Mr. Connell stated, Mr. Zlotnick has another commitment, is unable to attend. But as he does each and every month since his election, works very closely with our finance department and staff. This month, he requested several expenditures and has some questions. They were addressed to his satisfactory through Mrs. Cuthbertson's office. Therefore, his recommendation is the warrant is satisfactory.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next on the agenda, number 6 is citizens forum. This is 20 minutes for registered speakers and 20 minutes for agenda speakers. Right now, I am looking for Dr. Levin. No. Okay. 20 minutes for agenda items, which means that anybody that wishes to come up and approach the Board of Commissioners and has anything to speak on anything that we have on the agenda, you're allotted 3 minutes. So anybody on this side of the room on the first row, anybody in the second row that would like to come up and say anything, the third row, the fourth row, on this side of the room, the second row, the third row, the fourth row. There being none, we will continue with the agenda. Item number 7 on the agenda, Mr. D'Amelio, if you would please approve the minutes.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to
make a motion to approve the budget regular meeting minutes of December 12th, 2016.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Oliva. Comments? There being none, take the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes. Approval of the warrants. Mr. Holmes is not here with us this evening.
Okay, motion to approve the following warrants in
McGarity, would you
1-2017
like to do that?
totaling $3,139,018.02. General and sewer fund payroll for December 15, 2016 in the amount of $664,154.31. General sewer payroll for December 29, 2016 in the amount of $652,671.81. General fund disbursements 1-2017 in the amount of $1,046,242.46. Sewer fund disbursements 1-2017 in the amount of $146,946.86. Community Development Block Grant Fund disbursement 1-2017 in the amount of $60,899.29. Home Grant Fund 1-2017 in the amount of $690. Capital Projects Fund disbursement 1-2017 in the amount of $557,655.93. Credit card statement ending December 27th, 2016 in the amount of $9,757.36.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Siegel. Discussion? There being none, Mr. Secretary? Take the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
And Mr. Connell?
Yes. Item number 9 is a second reading for the police service. Mr. D'Amelio?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to amend Chapter 136, Police Services, second reading. Motion to adopt the second reading of ordinance number P27, 2016, amending Chapter 136, Police Services.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McGarity. Discussion? There being none, take the roll, please.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes. Item number 10 on the agenda is second reading for a traffic ordinance. Mr. McGarity, I
Motion.
believe that's yours.
Motion to adopt the second reading of ordinance number P28, 2016, authorizing traffic restrictions on the following highways. Establish stop signs on Harvard Road at both eastbound and westbound directions where it intersects with the Pensy Trail.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. D'Amelio. Discussion? Take the roll, please.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes. Item number 11 is animal control. First reading for the invisible fence. Who was that one?
Motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance number P1-2017, amending and supplementing ordinance number 1960, adopted June 30th, 1986, and known as the General Laws of the Township of Haverford, further amending and supplementing Chapter 49, Animals.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. D'Amelio.
Can we have a discussion real quick again?
Discussion, please.
Laura, could you come up about this again? So we had I think, an extensive discussion about this before, and I just want to make sure that the public knows exactly what we're doing again.
The ordinance was.
Are you sick?
I am sick. The ordinance
Stay
was
away from me.
drafted initially by Commissioner Siegel. It was considered at a time when we were doing a fence code amendment. We recommended placing it in animal control, since the intent was to try and control a dog behind an invisible fence. There was some discussion at the last meeting about setbacks and whether or not the board was inclined to prohibit invisible fences in the front yard at all. And it was left it was tabled to this meeting, so there is no resolution as yet.
And I'm supportive of what we're trying to do here. I think, I just have one concern, and it relates to Section 1, number 4. It says, persons utilizing an electronic fence must display prominently on their property immediately adjacent to the public right-of-way a sign that indicates the presence of the electronic fence. I just don't think that is a practical, first off, I have an invisible fence, and I don't think the company provides a sign that says invisible fence. So I think it's just something that's unnecessary. So I would be in favor of it, but would like to strike this particular section of the ordinance.
Just to follow up on what Commissioner Lewis is saying, I think, I thought number one, I thought we were going to have some more discussion about this at a work session. It's not that I'm against it, but I think pet owners who get an electric fence, part of the reason to get it is to not have any visible features on their lawn. So there's a design issue, and also, this generic description of a sign, I guess, concerns me. As if we have descriptions for the heights of fence and everything. What kind of sign are we going to be forcing people to put up, and are we putting any standards for that sign if we're going to make them put a sign in the yard? I might be able to be convinced, I guess, about a sign. I'd like some further discussion about it, but as it stands now, that part of the ordinance as written, gives me pause.
Yeah, I would also be against, that's the design of the invisible fence, being invisible. So having a sign isn't making your fence invisible. It's putting it out there. You might as well put up a fence if you're going to have signs all over the place.
I think, though, that the idea is it would be a vendor sign that would be similar to the signs that you put up if you have a security system protected by ABC.
Yeah, that's not what it says here.
No, I think that's what it says here, but I think it's impractical to, like, visible fence. I don't think, when I installed my fence, they didn't say, oh, here's a sign for you to put up, or we have these available if you want them. I don't think they have them. So you'd have to make up your own sign, basically, which I think is impractical, and the fact is we're not going to go run around the township and make people put up signs. It's just not going to happen, so.
Mr. Siegel?
Okay. If I may, since I was the sort of genesis of this ordinance, and then at the last, I guess, meeting when I brought it up, I was asked to do some additional research. So let me sort of give you the history, et cetera, what the research revealed, and address the issues of signs, and the other question that came up was setbacks. This ordinance arose when a number of constituents complained to me about dogs with invisible fence. They were afraid of them and they would come right to literally the sidewalk line, which is a very scary event, and I've had it happen with a dog close to my home. I researched it, proposed an ordinance to Ms. Hanlon-Widup, which was then revised somewhat by the solicitor for what we have here. Then, at the request of this board, I did additional research to see what other communities have done. Adjacent communities to Haverford, as far as I can tell, do not have similar ordinances. However, there are a significant number of these that have passed throughout the country. And what you'll find is that they have certain features. Some communities only allow invisible fences in the rear yard. Probably because of concern, at least there's one in Michigan, for example, where the concern of having it in the front yard is that if there is no sign, someone walking is still afraid. So some communities limit it to rear yards. The other do allow it in the front of a property. Some have sign requirements, some do not. All have a setback requirement from the sidewalk, the public walkway, ranging from anywhere from 5 to 16 feet, and I think 16 feet is way too far. We had proposed 5, which I thought was, that's about as close as you will see in these ordinances. I, as the person sponsoring it or suggesting this ordinance initially, I have no problem whether it's amended to remove the language about the sign. The bigger concern that constituents have voiced is, that the dogs come right up to, literally come to them because of the curb line or the sidewalk line. And this would at least eliminate that aspect of it. I prefer the sign. I'm not wedded to it. But that's the sort of the background and the information that I have.
Right, so you're saying that the setback is what you're interested in?
Setback is critical to
Is a
people.
deal breaker, okay.
If you put it to the sidewalk line, then you have the problem. I mean, it's still, I think, scary to see a giant dog running at you. But if it stops 5 feet away or 6 or 10, then you'll have a comfort level that you do not have when it literally, approaches you as you're on the sidewalk, especially in areas where some of the sidewalks are historically smaller than others because of just the way they were designed before we modified some of our ordinances.
Okay.
So Lori,
Go ahead.
I just had a question. So how would you propose that this be actually enforced? I mean, do we go to the invisible, I don't know how many invisible fence companies there are. There are not many of them. I assume that we would go to them and just make sure they know when they step foot in Haverford Township that there's a requirement.
Actually, buy one and install it yourself.
Oh, you
Yeah,
can,
I
you
mean,
can
the
install it
homeowner
yourself?
install it,
Oh, it's
yeah.
yeah, okay.
The thing is that, to me, the more appealing provision in the ordinance is that if a dog is known to have been aggressive or vicious, that you can't utilize an invisible fence to contain the dog there. This is about animal control, so it's an animal control ordinance. Because it's not a structure, it's not going to come under zoning, it's not going to come under the building code. However, the issue of enforcement, it would pertain to.
And notification, so people know.
Right, it would pertain to its education about if you're considering installing one, what the rules are. But certainly, anybody that already has one in place, we're not going to ask people to dig them up and move them back. It becomes difficult, though, with the new.
It would be prospective.
Yeah, with a
would have
new
to be.
installation, though, to make sure we get the word out to people that we're looking at a 10-foot. And if people call in, we'll certainly be able to give them the information. But we would utilize the website and the newsletters and all of the other social media.
Please allow me to lament. I'm for this ordinance, but I'm also for a sign, and I'll tell you why. Because if you're walking down the curb or on the pavement and you see an electronic sign, then you have an idea that there's a dog that could be loose. It doesn't startle you. 5 feet from a property line is really not that far. So a dog, even a large dog coming, dogs by nature are going to go after another dog. Not to hurt them, but they're curious. Some maybe too, I guess, cause some harm, but most are just, being dogs. So if they're walking a dog and they see the sign, they have an idea they may want to cross the street or go into the street rather than continue on the pavement. So I think I'm in favor of this ordinance, but I'm also in favor of some sort of a sign. And again, the enforcement of that sign would not come from codes and not come from, can we do that?
Well, I guess any of us can enforce any of the local ordinances. It doesn't have to be animal control, it doesn't have to be codes. But if the animal control officer goes out on a complaint, he would be able to enforce it. If codes receives the complaint, they would be able to enforce it, similar to what you do with snow on the sidewalks. The police even enforce some of that.
I'll tell you, when I've seen electronic signs, I never know what kind of dog could be out there, and I'll cross the street. I won't continue there because you don't know. It could be a rather large dog, and he may be friendly, but he's running up to greet you. They can startle you, especially in the front. Usually people have their yards enclosed, so, but sometimes they don't. So you don't know. It could be front or back.
So if you have an invisible fence that's greater than 5 feet from the curb, would you have to put a sign up, or are you saying if you have a visible fence or some kind of invisible fence in your front yard, no matter whether it's 15, 20 feet back, a sign is still required out front?
According to this.
The way the ordinance is written, if you install an invisible fence in your front yard, you would put up some sort of a device, a sign to let people know that there is an invisible fence.
Doesn't matter where it is. Yeah, how far back it is.
The sign wouldn't have to be set back a certain,
Yeah, we can amend this, right?
Do we,
That's
and-
not a,
So- Go ahead,
sorry,
Commissioner.
I mean, you indicated that the concept would be if they already have the fence installed as of whenever, if and when this passes, that people would be grandfathered in and wouldn't have to dig up their lawn and move it back. I
Or
mean,
put
should
a
that-
sign in, right?
Should that be specifically stated in the ordinance?
There's no need. All ordinances are prospective.
Well, I'm just thinking about enforcement, as Commissioner Lewis was saying, and again, since we hadn't had a full discussion of this, I'm thinking out loud a little bit, but if there's an enforcement, if someone goes to enforce it, we would then be putting the onus on the property owner to dig up paperwork that they may not have known they had to keep. I mean, we'd be forcing them to dig up paperwork saying, I got this invisible fence installed in March of 2012, right? Or otherwise, we'd be saying it'd have to be 5 feet.
correct, according to this ordinance.
You're going to have that issue regardless.
no registration of the people who have the fences, so.
You don't
it's-
know.
It's low voltage, so you don't know where they are. This is about notifying people, educating people what the new rules would be for this, and making sure that when people ask questions of the township about these sorts of fences, we can give them some information about what the new rules are. But there is no registration. I don't know how you would establish nonconformity if there's no registration of the existing fences.
Can I ask that, because there's so much discussion on this, that we table this to address the language and the concerns that you have, bring this back to the work session in February, and then put it up on the agenda for
Yeah,
the
I
February
agree,
meeting?
Mr. President. I vote the table.
Well, let me
I
ask
move the table.
Okay.
Mr. McGarity. Well, you can vote the table, okay. and
I mean, I move the table.
I second.
And a second it, so. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Yes, opposed.
I'm opposed as well.
Okay, so that's.
That was
7
the
to 2?
table, right?
7 to
Is that
2
what
to
the vote
table?
was? Okay.
6 to 2?
Maybe we should
And
take a vote.
let's take a vote.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes to table.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
No.
Mr. Lewis?
No.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
And Mr. Connell?
Yes to table. Okay, so we'll come back with that at the February work session, and then take a vote.
Sounds like a good idea.
The-
Good work, Mr. President.
Item number 12, Mr. Lewis, if you would please, for the Finance Committee.
As soon as I find it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion to adopt resolution number 2035-2017, authorizing the disposition of the public records itemized in resolution.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McGarity. Discussion? There being none, take the roll, please.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes. Item number 13 is a resolution.
Motion to adopt resolution number 2036, 2017, liquid fuels, online reporting. Motion to adopt resolution number 2036, 2017, authorizing the township's participation in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's DOT grants online reporting system to file the annual required liquid fuels forms.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. D'Amelio. I'm livid. Thank you, Mr. McGarity. Questions? There being none, take the roll, please.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes, item number 14, Mr. Wexler.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2037, 2017, authorizing the Chief of Police, John Viola, to file application with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for traffic signal approval between Lindale Avenue and Morgan Avenue.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McGarity.
This resolution and the next one that follows are part of the outgrowth of the effort of Senator McGarrigle and State Representative Santoro for traffic improvement along Township line. The requirement with PennDOT is when you put up these, and these are for the radar enforcement signs that you see on there, they're permanent ones. One of, the control box on those has to go on one side of the road or the other. And as the municipality on this side of the road where the boxes will go, we have to take ownership of those. And we've agreed to do that. Township manager agreed to do that at a meeting with Senator McGarrigle and State Representative Santoro and PennDOT.
So these aren't adaptive traffic signals?
Now, these are both for radar.
Radar, okay.
Signs that give you your speed limit. They're the larger new signs that you'll see. Eventually, they'll be tied into PennDOT system so they can go back and get statistics. In the long term, when the fiber loop goes in, they'll be able to report back. They'll tell you how many vehicles went through, what the average speed was, and all that. So we'll get.
Anything further? Thank you. Take the roll, please.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
And Mr. Connell?
Yes. Number 15, Mr. Wexler.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2038-2017, authorizing the Chief of Police, John Viola, to file application with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for traffic signal approval north of Foss Avenue on Township Line.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McGarity. Prior discussion, any additional? There being none, please take the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
And Mr. Connell?
Yes, all right, that passes. Number 16 are, there are 5 purchases. One is for the police department and 4 for public works. Mr. D'Amelio,
Okay.
you want to start it
Thank you,
off?
Mr. President. Motion to authorize the purchase of 6 2017 Chevrolet Tahoe police vehicles from Hundrew Chevrolet, Manheim, PA, under CoStar's contract number 26 in the amount of $240,110.
Second.
Seconded by
Mario.
Mr. Oliva. We're going to give it to you tonight. Thank you. Okay, discussion?
I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Just for the board's information, as you recall, you approved 5 vehicles in the 2017 budget. There are 6 vehicles because we had 2 police vehicles that were totaled in a serious accident. They're being reimbursed via our insurance company. It was the other motors that totaled. One of the vehicles that was totaled just recently, not even a month ago, is one of the brand-new vehicles that arrived this year, so it must be replaced. So this is all budgeted monies that'll be...
Can I ask you a question about what we're purchasing? So when we purchase a police car, is it like when you purchase a new car, are there options that you can pick or not, or are you just buying a standard, like straight-up police vehicle that...
Pretty much, this is a standard Tahoe police response vehicle, this particular vehicle.
Maybe the chief, I know there's... Yeah, I mean, are we getting a special engine, or are we getting any options, or is it just a police
Packages of
package?
police vehicles are different than a retail police car,
Yeah.
a retail
Right.
Chevrolet Tahoe. So it's a police package, it's rated differently, it's got different suspension. It's a 4-wheel drive rated police pursuit vehicle. It's by federal law, it's got to be rated a certain way, which is a lower suspension. So it's not, doesn't look like a retail Tahoe, what we're driving now is exactly the same thing. There's not a whole lot of option you get with it. It
It's
is
just
the
a base package is what you're...
Base package.
To just get a bigger, bigger transmission.
Right.
Bigger.
That makes sense. Just want to...
Is there any additional? There being none, take the roll, please.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes. Public Works Commissioner, Mr. McGarity.
Yes. Motion to authorize the purchase of one fully configured FA model attachment, the chipper, for the new tree truck, bucket truck, from Atlee Environmental Products, Birmingham, Alabama, in the amount of $38,900.
Seconded by Mr. Wexler.
Make a comment?
Comment?
Again, just all the vehicles that you'll be seeing over the next few requests are all budgeted for 2017. We placed the order immediately. We don't receive these for months
and don't have to pay for them, but we have to get them ordered as soon as possible. To give you an example, we're still waiting for the sanitation vehicle that we ordered in 2016. It still won't arrive for another 2 weeks, so that's why we get it on the beginning agendas, to get them ordered.
Where does that time frame come from? Where does the time frame come from whereby we order it now and it takes?
Well, the police vehicles usually only take a few months. We usually get them in 90 days, but the bigger vehicles, the sanitation vehicles, and the highway vehicles, they're, again, it's all co-stars, pre-bid it through the Commonwealth, and the quicker that the municipality can get the order, the quicker that these vehicles can be constructed. For example, sanitation vehicles, the actual part, the back part of the vehicle, the chassis and the engine is made by one particular company, and the back part of it, where the trash is placed with all the hydraulics, then they're put together. What has delayed the sanitation vehicle for 2016, the reason why it took almost a year for us to get it in is because of new environmental regulations that I believe it's called PRESS, has to do with the gasoline that goes into the diesel engines. So it's just high demand. And the vehicles are not, it's not like they don't come off an assembly line like the police cars or a normal vehicle. These, a lot of times, are built to order.
What would be the expected life of a bucket truck or a sanitation vehicle? What do you try to
We replace a sanitation vehicle every year, so the average life expectancy is about 10 to 12 years.
10, 12? What about a bucket truck? Longer?
The
Bucket truck?
the bucket truck, about 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Thank you.
Any additional?
That's all I have.
There being none, please take the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarrett?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes. Highway Department?
Okay, motion to authorize the purchase of one Elgin Boom dual-mounted sweeper mounted on International 4400 chassis from Grand Turk Equipment Company, Bridgeport, Pennsylvania, under CoStar's 025-046 contract in the amount of $256,366.25. And the reason for this purchase is the one we're currently using is 10 years old.
Can we get a second?
Second?
Seconded by Mr. Oliva. And the manager's comments prior are the same, and it's 10 years old. Any additional? Please take the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarrity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes. Highway Department on the second vehicle?
Motion to authorize the purchase of two 2017 Ford Super Duty F-350 pickup trucks, one with Western V plow and the other with one utility body and lift gate, from Honda Ford, Manhattan, Pennsylvania, under CoStar's 25006 contract in the amount of $74,651.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Oliva, or I'm sorry, not this time, Mr. D'Amelio.
Ends in a vowel.
What is the deal with it, D'Amelio?
Anything further? Take the roll, please.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. McGarrity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes. Last purchase of vehicles from the Sewer Department?
Mr. President, make a motion to authorize the purchase of one 2017 Ford Super Duty F-350 pickup truck with Western V plow from Honda Ford, Manheim, Pennsylvania, under CoStar's 25-006 contract in the amount of $33,408.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McGarrity. Any comment? There being none, please take the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarrity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
And Mr. Connell?
Yes. Item number 17 for appointment, Civil Service Commission.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. D'Amelio.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Christopher Delario to serve on the Civil Service Commission for a 6-year term to expire December 31st, 2022. I spoke with Mr. Lorario. He is resigning from the
Vacancy committee.
Vacancy Committee, thank you. And will
Can I-
not,
well,
I'm sorry.
If I could please let me finish it out, let me get a second.
Okay,
and we'll
I'm
open it up for
sorry.
discussion.
And there may be other nominations.
To expire December 31st, 2022.
Okay.
That's for the alternate position.
Alternate.
Okay, second.
Seconded by Mr. McGarity.
Mr. President,
Mr. Siegel.
motion to appoint Philip R. Goldsmith to serve on the Civil Service Commission for a 6-year term to expire on December 31st, 2022.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McCluskey. Open for discussion.
Mr. President,
You have a discussion?
Well-
You want to finish your discussion?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I had a discussion with Mr. Lario, and he believed that he would be more interested in serving on the Civil Service Commission as an alternate. As you know, he's on the Vacancy Committee, which really wouldn't mean much of anything if one of us, if there was a tie here, if one of the commissioners resigned or something happened, it was 4-4. My understanding is that the decision would go to the courts. Am I right, Mr. Byrne?
Yeah, I think under our home rule charter that with the vacancy committee that Mr. Lorario, is that his name, serves on, has to do with when there's a tie in the vote, when there's a vacancy in one of the elected offices. Now, under the first-class township code, that can become more of an elaborate job in other townships, but since we adopted a home rule charter, our home rule charter says that when you can't elect the commissioner, it goes right to court. And so that really the only position that the vacancy committee deals with is the Office of Auditor, I believe. And I think we've talked about that before at the appointment time.
We talked about it many times.
Right.
Every year.
Mr. Siegel.
So he has resigned.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Siegel, you had a...
yes, thank you. Mr. Goldsmith is one of the most impressive people we've ever nominated, I believe, to any position in this township. He's been a resident since 1974. He served as the managing director of the City of Philadelphia, the deputy mayor of the City of Philadelphia. He has served on the board of the Philadelphia Library. He's been recognized as a leader in every sort of spectrum of office imaginable, and he has demonstrated a desire to serve this township. He probably knows more about civil service matters than anyone who's applied in years. And I, for one, am thrilled that he wants to have a more active role in this township because the experience that he brings is extraordinary.
Is there any additional?
Just as a procedural, Mr. President, if Mr. Lario, so if he's resigning a position on the vacancy committee, theoretically, if you play this out, if he was then selected, would then there be an opening for the vacancy committee that would
Yes.
make the appointment next month?
Yes, there would be.
But I don't believe we've received a formal resignation other than Commissioner D'Amelio's comments, which while I have no reason to doubt them, I believe, and I'll defer to the solicitor, unless we've received a resignation from Mr. Lorario, I don't know that he can be nominated for another position. I don't know that he could serve on two boards.
He definitely cannot serve on two boards. I mean, I've not received a written resignation. The Office of Alternate Civil Service, before he could serve in that office, he would have to be, I took a look at the first-class township code right before we came out here tonight, and it
Larry, I
says-
assume you didn't receive anything?
No, sir.
Yeah.
Well, then I'd like to make a motion to table this. I know he was out of town. He was in Alaska, actually, on business.
Well, I didn't finish what I was saying.
I'm sorry,
Just that
Mr.
and what section 627 of the first-class township code says that alternates shall hold no other office in the township. So I guess, it's a good question. Can you, elect him tonight subject to the fact that he can't hold the office until he resigns, or do you table it until next meeting? I mean,
The motion's already been made to table.
oh, okay, sorry.
Mario seconded, I think, didn't you?
Well,
Mario?
Andy
Or Andy
seconded.
did, I'm sorry, Andy.
So I think you got to call a roll.
We're going to call the roll on this one, yes, so there isn't a show of hands. So if you would please, this is a motion to table, a second by Mr. Oliva,
No.
and it's either yes to table or no to table. Take the roll, please.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes to table.
Mr. McCluskey?
No.
Mr. Siegel?
No.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
No.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes. 4, 5. Yes, the ayes have it. So it is tabled. Next item on the agenda is the Environmental Advisory Committee for a 2-year term. This is a second request for the 3rd Ward.
I will table this till February.
Okay, we'll go next month. 5th Ward,
I'd like to nominate Victor Barsky, and I'll give Larry the address and phone number and contact information.
and the 6th Ward is not here this evening. You have that, Larry?
Yes.
Okay. Ice Rink Advisory, this is a 3-year term, the second request. This is for an appointment to fill an unexpired 3-year term on the Ice Rink Advisory Board that will expire December 31st, 2018. So 2 years left of the 3-year term. Does anybody have any names?
No, I motion that we table this.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has been tabled. Next item on the agenda is the Library Board of Trustees for a 3-year term.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Angela Kaspari to serve as a Library Board of Trustee for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2019.
Second?
Seconded by Mr. Oliva. Additional?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Margaret Fox Tully to serve as a Library Board of Trustee for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2019.
Second.
And seconded by Mr. Siegel. Kleski. Motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McGarity. Any discussion?
I'd just like to reiterate, I won't go through all the qualifications I listed for Ms. Tully last week in making her nomination, but just as part of an overall theme, we have a lot of talented people who applied for positions on these committees, and I think it's incumbent upon this board to go through the interview process, to review the resumes, and to take advantage of the people who are willing to volunteer their time to serve this township. And it's in our interest that the people who do volunteer their time have as much experience and skill as necessary for whatever they're being appointed to. And Ms. Tully, as I outlined last week, has a 30-year career centering around degrees in literature and a 20-year career in higher education as an administrator and fundraiser at places like Cabrini College and most recently at Princeton University. And as I said, I think she would make an excellent addition to the library board. That's it.
Well, I would just like to say that her credentials are very good, but Ms. Kaspari has spent a lot of years on the library board. She's done a good job. Unfortunately, one time there she had a little illness, but she's back in full health, ready to serve. And I believe that her heart's in with the library, and I'd like to see her continue on.
There being nothing further, please take the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Angela Caspara.
McCluskey?
Ms. Fox Tully.
Mr. Siegel,
Ms. Fox Tully.
Mr. Lewis,
Angela Gaspara.
Mr. McGarity,
Angela Casparo.
Mr. Wexler,
Mrs. Tully.
Mr. Oliva,
Angela Casparo.
and Mr. Connell.
Angela Casparo. Congratulations. Next on the agenda is Senior Citizen Advisory Council for a one-year term. These are commissioners' appointments. Second request on the first ward.
I was going to put Larry Gentili on there. I'll have to table mine.
Ward 3,
I'll also table mine.
Ward 5.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Steve Cohen. You can give that to Larry if you wouldn't.
Mr. Cohen, okay. Ward 6, Ward 7,
I'm working on it, Chris.
okay.
Mr. President?
Mr. Siegel.
Yeah, Mr. Holmes had requested that he had contacted me about whom he wanted to appoint. While I know he's not here, technically it's his appointment, I can relay that to the board since it doesn't require a vote.
Please.
If you would. It's Joanne, Joanne Gattone, Gattone, to the Senior Citizens Advisory Board.
Gattone.
Correct.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Next on the agenda, we have a vacancy on the Property Review Committee. It's a 5-year term. We had mentioned last meeting at the reorganization that this is the Vacancy Property Review Committee. This position is held by one of the commissioners. I was on that position for the last 5 years. Mr. Holmes has acknowledged that he wishes to actually take a seat on that board, so we will open it up to nominations.
Mr. President, I'd like to appoint Larry Holmes to serve on the Vacancy Property Review Committee for a 5-year term to expire December 31st, 2021.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Oliva. Any additional? Motion to close it.
Motion to close.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McGarity. Take the roll, please.
Mr. D'Amelio,
Mr. Holmes.
McCluskey,
Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Siegel,
Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Lewis,
Mr. Holmes.
McGarity,
Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Wexler,
Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Oliva,
Mr. Holmes.
and Mr. Connell.
Mr. Holmes. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Item number 18, the continuation of citizens forum for non-agenda items. If anybody would like to come up and address the Board of Commissioners, it does not have to be anything on the agenda. You are free to come up and speak to us for 3 minutes. So again, I will go on this side of the room on the first row. Second row. Any representative from the Boy Scouts? The third row. The fourth row. I will then request if one of the individuals could represent the Boy Scouts and come to us tonight on what you got out of this and what the importance of you coming here for tonight is. It would be great if one of the young men,
Yeah, we're looking for a youngster here. One of you boys, how about coming up here? Don't be afraid.
come on,
One that's still awake, hopefully, right?
Mr. Connell will stand at the mic with you if that's what you want. Uh-oh, here's a patrol leader, right? Come on, Mr. Patrol Leader, come on up here. There we are.
All right.
All right.
all right.
Our scout.
Gotta state your name, address, and rank.
I'm Frankie Nieves from Troop 19. I'm the SPO.
So Troop 19, they are located
Bryn Mawr.
in Bryn Mawr. I know you guys are also very involved in Haverford Township Day, aren't you?
Yes.
Every year, every year. How many years? I don't know how many years have you been there? For lots of years. Thank you very much for participating in that.
Can you
So-
tell us how long you've been a scout? We'll hear from you rather than Mr. Connell here.
Since 5th grade.
All right,
How
Mr.
long is
Wexler,
it?
you had your chance.
So for me, 4 years.
4 years, that's good.
Now, is 463, did they merge with your troop from Annunciation?
Yes.
Okay.
So are you a Star Scout?
Not yet, but I'm close.
Okay, so you're first class. How far away from being a Star?
I completed all the requirements. I just have to get my board of review and Scout
Still five merit badges, or is it more than, still 5? It's been that way since I was your age.
Which was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Would you encourage
Weeks ago.
other guys joining the Boy Scouts? And if so, why? What do you like best about it?
My favorite part has always been the summer camp.
Summer camps, absolutely.
It's just a really good experience, and it teaches you a lot of valuable lessons.
Super.
Have you been to Philmont?
No.
Anybody else from the troop been to Philmont?
Delmont, Resica
Yeah.
Falls.
Good. You've all been to Resica Falls, right?
Yeah.
Is Delmont still around or not? Delmont's still there? Oh, that's great. That's a great facility.
You are the Valley Forge Council, right?
Formerly.
Cradle Liberty.
Formerly
That's
it
what it
used
is
to be.
now.
They merged with
It's an old
Philadelphia.
Valley Forge Council.
My father went to something called Treasure Island.
All right.
Thank you very much for coming tonight. Greatly appreciate it. Anybody on this side of the room? Christine? No.
Good evening and Happy New Year, Commissioners, Township staff, and public. I'm Christine Farris, the Director of the Haverford Township Library, and I invite and welcome all of you to visit the library and view the World War I and America 6-panel exhibit on the first floor. It depicts images and interpretive text prepared by the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. It will be on display through January 22nd. Our library was one of 50 libraries across the nation who received a grant for the exhibition and programming in conjunction with the theme to mark the 100th anniversary of the U.S. involvement in the war. It was made possible through support of the National Endowment for the Humanities and the Library of America. There's some literature that's out on the tables and given to you, Commissioners. So I invite you to come, and the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Third row, last row. Okay, thank you very much for everybody for your contributions for tonight's meeting. And item number 20 is, no, let me go with, I have to do new business. Under number 19, under new business. I wish to approach the Board of Commissioners regarding the Commissioners' committees. And I am asking that if this year we could put in a redistricting committee. We've been starting this and stopping, back and forth. So I would like to ask the board if we could put in a redistricting committee of 4.
I'd like to be on that committee.
I'd like to be there too, Chris.
And Mr. Lewis, Mr.
Happy to
Dem-
serve or not serve, depending on who wants to be. I'm happy to go either way. So if there are 4 people that want to do it, I'm willing to step out.
No, Mr. Lewis, absolutely, I don't mind it at all, but
Who
there's
all
1,
wants to?
2,
There's 4.
3,
You guys, Kevin, want to do it?
4.
too?
Yeah,
That's right, you 4 do it
Okay.
then. You 4. Is
okay.
that all right?
Mr. McCluskey, Mr. D'Amelio, Mr. McGarity, and
I know
Mr.
Larry.
Wexler. Mr. McGarity, you're the senior man, so I would ask you to please chair that.
Thank you.
No gerrymandering.
Yeah.
No Moran Twardy plan. Okay?
No hockey stick.
Mr. D'Amelio, Mr. McCluskey, and Mr. Wexler.
That's why I volunteered, Andy.
I trust you.
Jimmy won't do that.
This second committee I'm requesting it's very personal to me, but it's also, I understand, is very personal to quite a few people here on the board. So I think it is very important. Haverford Alliance for Drug Awareness, HADA, has been to us on several occasions. And I think it's very important to us. We have gone forward and we have supported them. They have events that we've attended events as well and supported them. But I think it's so very important that we not just support them, that we need to take an active role by the Board of Commissioners.
I'd like to chair that if you're going to do a new committee.
Well, actually, thank you very much, but
Back of the bus, man. Get to the back of the bus. There's a lot of
If
people.
I could-
There's a lot of people in line ahead of you for that one.
Well, I am asking that we form a Health and Welfare Committee, what I would like to call it. It's not the Health Committee. We do have a Health Committee, but this is Health and Welfare, because it does deal with not just our youth of the community, even though a lot of our youth are affected by this, but older people as well. I feel this is very important for us to address and to be every bit involved with it. And this committee would work along with HADA and any other aspects that would come up with it. I have asked that Mr. McCluskey was our unofficial representative last year. So respectfully, I will ask Mr. McCluskey across the aisle there and ask Mr. McCluskey to please, if he would chair this new committee that we, of course, if you guys agreed to it.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
Of course.
I greatly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is he co-chair? I want to be on the committee. Can I be on the committee?
You know what we'll do is when we come out with the committee list and all this, so I'll be happy to speak with anybody
Happy
after.
to
But
join
gentlemen, I greatly appreciate
Kevin.
you. I should say, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And all in favor for the redistricting committee?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
Great idea.
Anybody have
Mr.
any other
Chairman.
comments?
Great idea.
Yes, I do. Apropos to
Did you name
the
list
issue of
the Health and
committees.
Welfare Committee? I just said Mr. McCluskey. Anybody else on that?
Yeah, we're going to get I'll get the rest afterwards.
great.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Siegel?
Yeah, apropos the issue of committees, I've been concerned over the past few years, and I've seen sort of what I'll call, depending on who you look at, and in particular myself, some level of what I'll call disenfranchisement. And I would suggest that unlike in some years, but like when I was on this board early as a member, there was consultation with the president as to what committees we felt we were best suited for, and that members could then suggest and potentially be appointed. You know, I have expertise in areas that inexplicably I'm no longer on those committees and have been appointed at times. I mean, when I was first elected, I was appointed to one committee, and I told President Wexler at the time that it was, you know, I didn't have an interest, and he changed it. But I think we could bring some, you know, changes and potentially make certain that persons with appropriate interests are on committees where they have that interest, which I don't think is always the case.
Thank you very much for your comments. I was going to say that I've been on the board for 7 years, and I don't think once I've been asked on what committee I wanted to be on. Anything further? Anything under new business?
Well, then I want to raise one other issue also. The committees have improved dramatically over the last few years in having minutes and agendas, but I would again request that committees, that when they meet, have minutes and agendas. And if a committee is meeting and it meets and it's exclusively, for example, an executive session, as can happen, there should still be a record that the given committee met in executive session, so that there is a record. You cannot find a record that certain committees of this board have ever met, and I don't think that's good for the public, because they at least need to know that those committees are meeting and they're doing their function, even if it is a function that cannot be disclosed publicly.
Now, some of these committees are advisory board committees as well, and they meet every month, but there is nothing that I am aware of that requires a commissioner to be at every one of those meetings. Correct. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're asking is that if, let's say, for instance, the advisory skating committee meets or the cable board meets, and you're not at that meeting, that there still should be an account that the meeting took place, or
Yes.
just the committee of the 4 commissioners if they needed to meet?
No, I believe that any of our committees should have minutes. So the two you suggested, the Stadium Committee, they regularly have actually very detailed
Do have minutes, right?
minutes, and regardless of which commissioner is or is not in attendance, the Cable Committee has always had minutes. When I chaired the Property Committee, we didn't per se have minutes, but we made public reports of our work so that the residents had that information. I think it's really important for residents to know that the committees are, what their functions are and what they're doing, so that we are as open as possible.
Anything further?
I think you are supposed to, the committee should, under the Right to Know Act.
They do it the first of the
minutes.
year. I do
Yeah.
believe they have to, they're supposed to, all committees, advisory boards are supposed to report to the Board of Commissioners by February? I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I'll check to be certain, but I think under the revisions of the Right to Know Act that committees are supposed to keep minutes of every
are.
meeting.
I don't have a problem with that.
And it doesn't have to be.
That's fine.
They don't have to be real extensive minutes, just as
Fine.
like, who was in attendance, what issues came up, and then if there is a vote, you have to record, the first and the second, and then what happened on the vote. So.
I have no problem with that.
Well, the only thing I could say is I know that the Health Board has minutes, I know the Grange has minutes, I know the Park and Recreation has minutes, Planning has minutes,
Yep.
Zoning has minutes. So I don't know about all the rest, but I can tell you they all have minutes.
Yeah, but no, Mr. Byrne is correct, and even I had been the one who had talked about the zoning board, for example, and they now have minutes and agendas, and the minutes are short, but the minutes are totally appropriate, compliant, and while some may want more detail, they don't have to, and they've done their job, and I'm thrilled that they're compliant.
And I've always agreed with you, and
Right.
I asked them to do that, and as the chairman of that committee, and they have, so I have
Yeah.
no problem with that.
Right, I was just giving them as an example.
Yeah, it's no problem. I agree.
Anything further? Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, does anybody have anything further under new business? Item number 20 on other business, Mr. D'Amelio.
Well, we recently had a very minor snowstorm, but boy, you could always tell when you're Haverford Township. Public Works came through again, and Larry is very informative with your emails, so the commissioners know exactly what's happening. So if any residents call, we can provide answers, and I just want to commend them again for another great job. So if anything comes down the pike, we know we're great. Police, I always want to thank the police for everything that you guys do. As you know, recently there was an attack in Fort Lauderdale, and many people question, well, why do the police need so much equipment? You won't be asking that question if it happened in your community, let me tell you. The police and his police chief and his staff do an excellent job, and I thank them every day for what they do. And having said that, when you talk about the snow, you think about your volunteers in the fire companies that go out during snowstorms and ice storms. They do a fabulous job as well. So while you're sitting home nice and warm, our emergency services are out there protecting us, and I want to thank all the volunteers, including the fire police as well, that go out and assist in emergencies. Also, related to the Manoa Fire Company, the Ladies Auxiliary donated a check for $1,500 to Living Beyond Breast Cancer. They did this by selling T-shirts and sweatshirts, and they did it at Haverford Township Day. Many thanks to police, or Brookline, the chief, also fire chief, John Viola, for allowing them to do so Haverford Township Day in that area. They did a fabulous job, and I want to really thank the Ladies Auxiliary for donating the funds to Living Beyond Breast Cancer. They've had some family members as well. My mom was a breast cancer survivor. My aunt passed. Deputy Chief Mike Norman's cousin died from breast cancer. I think we all know someone that was touched or has been affected by breast cancer. So let's hope that someday we won't have to have these fundraisers. But I'd like to thank them for everything that they did. They still have T-shirts available, and they still have sweatshirts as well. Westgate Civic Association did a great job again for Christmas, having Santa come to Westgate Park. And they always do a fabulous job with all of their community events, so I want to thank them. Having my first ward meeting March 15th at Manoa Firehouse at 7 p.m. Obviously, we'll remind the residents as we get closer. I also want to thank Troop 463 for inviting me and Commissioner McGarity to St. Pius for for honoring 3 of their scouts, one in my ward, Matthew Cook. And you know the other names, I'm sure. I forget the other names, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Well, Matthew Cook's the one I got the invitation from, so.
Yeah, we're going to honor him at the
Yeah,
next.
at the next meeting.
Right. And just thanks to all the volunteers, as Dan said, we have many different committees and people that volunteer and put in for various boards and commissions. And we did have a lot of talented people this year, and I think that's fabulous. So I want to thank everyone for their interest and everyone that serves and volunteers. It's a lot of hard work, and we can't thank them enough. We can't succeed without you. So that's all I have now.
Did you take Mr. Holmes's place tonight?
I did.
Okay.
He wasn't here, so I thought, in fact, Siegel was, I saw Siegel looking at his watch. And he's got a new watch, too. Did you notice that? He's really getting stylish. He's got a new watch, too.
Mr. McCluskey?
Got the glasses going, the watch. Come on.
Okay. I trust Commissioner Lewis will probably discuss some of the details of the meeting we had last week regarding the College Avenue Bridge closure. But I just wanted to express publicly my appreciation for Commissioner Lewis and all the efforts he did to put that together. I think it was a highly successful meeting. We heard from a lot of township residents, and I was glad to participate. So thank you. As to HADA, thank you, Mr. President, for your continued commitment to that group and to the appointment of the new committee. Just as an update, on January 20th at 7:30, they will be having their first youth awareness event at the Haverford High School Fords basketball team game. I don't know who they're playing that night, but if students wear purple to the game, they'll have free admission. So it's one of a series of events that they're planning in terms of reaching out to the youth, which is the main goal of that organization. And just to reiterate, Commissioner D'Amelio, I do want to thank everyone who offered to volunteer their time to the township. Those that were selected, I look forward to working with you. And as someone expressed at the last meeting, this wasn't, none of our discussion or debate was an issue of anyone in particular, or it was trying to select from a wonderful pool of candidates, all Haverford Township residents. And I thank everyone that applied, because it really is, you're volunteering your time, and I think that's an admirable quality. And I would say, I look forward to working with the people who were selected, but I'd also say to the people who were not selected, that I hope you continue to try to volunteer your time either with the township or in other areas, because I think that's part of what makes this a great township. Is that type of volunteer activity is prevalent, and it's commendable, and it's part of what makes us special. So please do not be disheartened, and continue. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Siegel?
Yes, thank you. A couple of items. First, for people in the area of Brennan Drive, I am aware that there have been a number of power surges and other problems. I've been in touch with representatives from that street and have recently learned of adjacent areas that have also had a similar problem with PECO. I am in the process of arranging a meeting with PECO, Ralph Brown, our contact is going to be out on a medical leave, so there'll be someone taking his place, and some residents of the area so that we can address. There've been a lot of equipment destroyed, et cetera. So PICO is aware of the problem. I am aware of it, and we are trying to deal with it. Second, since we hear so much about roads and everything else, the township manager forwarded us PennDOT's proposed schedule of road paving between now and the year 2020. And, I'm going to be following up with our state representatives, but Haverford is woefully underserved on those lists. When you look, you'll see that for the next 5 years, PennDOT is paving all of 120 miles of roads in the entire county. That's in itself not a good commentary, and many of the roads that are in dire need in this township of paving are not on the list, including Eagle Road, Earlington, and others. I'm sure we all can list them. So I think we all need to speak with those from our state reps, state senators, et cetera, to try to get more of awareness of the conditions and the need for them. It took a long time, but we got Marple Road done, and we have a lot of other roads like it. In a third area, the Paddock Farm Civic Association is looking for new leadership. They are a vital group in the Fourth Ward, and you can contact them through their Facebook page or their website. And on the area of the the Haverford Alliance for Drug Awareness, on Wednesday of this week, they're having their membership meeting at 7 o'clock at the library, and anyone who's interested should attend that as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Lewis?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just first like to thank the leaders of Troop 19 and the Scouts for being here this evening. Hopefully you've met the requirement number 9. I guess the leaders make that determination, but thank you for being here. Also want to congratulate again Marcus Hashira for his accomplishment, attaining the rank of Eagle Scout. I think that shows a sign of greater things to come. So congratulations and best wishes to you in your future in college. So, also, I just want to follow up on Commissioner McCluskey's comments about our public meeting that we held together, co-hosted a public meeting on the closure of the College Avenue Bridge about 5 or 6 weeks after it actually closed. We had a very good turnout of residents, and gave people a chance to vent a little bit, a little frustration, and some good suggestions came out of the meeting. A lot of good comments, and I think it's not been as I thought it was going to be. The world was going to come to an end, but I think due in large part due to the job that the police have done. The police have done a fabulous job in terms of mitigating the impact in terms of stop signs and enforcement and signs which indicate your speed, and they've done routine enforcement up in the 5th and 3rd Ward, and they continue to do so, and I'm sure they'll do it throughout the entire bridge closure. So I want to thank the Chief Viola and Deputy Chief Hagan and Larry Gentili for their support, and also PennDOT. PennDOT put up a 3-way stop sign at Coopertown and College, which has been flashing lights, which has been a big improvement, a big safety improvement. So I want to thank them. And so Commissioner McCluskey and I will be hosting a meeting at some point in the fall on the next bridge closure, which is Ardmore Avenue, which is obviously not going to start until the closure, the College Avenue Bridge is completed, which we expect will be sometime in November of this year, we hope. So anyway, we'll be hosting that meeting and certainly give the public adequate notice of that meeting to come. So that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. McGarity?
All right, Chris, thank you, and I got quite a few things here for the audience. First of all, the Toys for Tots. This year was like last year. It was a banner year. We had 21 big barrels that left the Brookline Fire Company to go to Marine Barracks out in 420. So that was a great year. We had more this year than we had last year. Gloria Cagini upstairs in the office and Victor Bird deserve a lot of credit for all the help that they do getting these together. And also, I'll have the names of the different places and businesses and places like the township building, the library, the police station, where they were all helpful in getting these toys together for us, and all the businesses in Brookline, Oakmont, and so on. Next, I want to congratulate the St. Denis and Annunciation track team tonight for coming here and getting an award for the service they gave us on the being out of 2,400 people. They were the ones that got the awards around here. And next, Mr. Viola, I also want to thank John Viola for the use of the Brookline Fire Company for the Toys for Tots. That's like our home base down there at Brookline, and every year John has it all ready for us and helps us get everything together. And also for the police work that our police have done, we had somebody very close to me that had their house, somebody walked in, didn't break in, and walked in and started fooling around and looking for stuff, and as John said, they caught the fellow who did that, and again, I don't want to mention the one detective's name because we don't do that, because cases, bad guys watching TV, then I'll look them up and see if we can find them. But the detective did a wonderful job along with other police who came over, took fingerprints, got everything together, and before you know it, they pinpointed the guy and they caught him. So that was great work. Also, the scouts who were in attendance, I see a few left, but congratulations to you gentlemen for keeping this gang here tonight. I'll tell you, we've never had this many scouts stay the whole night, and you guys really did a great job. And let's give this young man a hand that got up here and spoke. That young man's a rock star now. And we'll give you a tape of the movie, and you'll see yourself in the talking you did there. I know you're going to love that. So the other thing I have is Dory LaSorsa, who worked for the township, and I think Chris had mentioned her. Her viewing is Thursday night at the Logan Funeral Home, 6 to 8 o'clock. And that's Dory on Thursday night. Also, Public Works will be picking up Christmas trees on Mondays. The yard waste day, they'll be picking up Mondays for the rest of the month, Christmas trees. So the trash trucks will not pick them up, because what we do is we shred them and they don't go in, and it saves us a lot of money. So that's the tree gang goes around getting them.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Yes.
Jimmy, they don't pick up next week because of the holiday.
Oh, sorry, Martin Luther King Day. They're not going to pick up them, but the following week.
Right.
But we'll try to get some trucks out there on top of that to take them down the yard. And the final one, I was handed this note. The Republican women are having a fundraiser on January the 20th at Tip O'Leary's from 8 to 11, Westchester Pike and Lanark in Havertown. Beer, wine, and food, $20 in advance, $25 at the door. And checks made payable to the Haverford Township Republican Women's Club. And basically, it's 53 Meadows Lane, Haverford, PA, 19041. RSVP to Kate Drugney. And what is it? To Debbie Cipollo. And it's small D-E-B-B-I-E, small C-I-P-P-O-L-A, little a, what's that? What do you call it? Okay, at iCloud.com. Okay, so I promised I'd read that, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Wexler?
Yes, and continuing on the theme, HADA is very active this month. They will be speaking at the Hilltop Civic Association meeting on January 26th at the Bonaire Fire Company. The members of the Haverford Alliance for Drug Awareness will be at the regular meeting to discuss the opioid crisis in Haverford and lead a discussion about what all of us can do to fight the wave of drug use in our neighborhoods. The meeting is open to all that would like to attend. You don't have to be a member of the Civic Association. The Aronimink Civic Association of the Upper Darby side has also been invited, so it'll be a joint meeting. It should be a good night and informative for the neighborhood. Senator Santoro, our State Rep Santoro, is inviting the Upper Darby side as well, but we expect a good turnout, and again, it's another opportunity for education. I'd also like to thank the police over Christmas Eve, and then again on the 5th and 6th of January. We had a lot of unlocked cars broken into, and our detectives did, even though it sounds like a minor crime, our two detectives did follow up with the Upper Darby police and did get the guy that was probably responsible for most of the car openings in our area. But please lock your car again. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Leva?
Yeah, I just have, I just want to talk about Dory for a moment. when I came to Haverford Township, Dory had been here for a long time already. She kind of steered me in the right direction when the political waters were a little different than they are today, and I thank her for that. She was quite a she was a very hard worker, and I just want to acknowledge that. The other thing is I wanted to again thank Public Works for their great job they do in the snow removal and salting. I have a 16-year-old daughter who is beginning to drive, and her new restriction is she can only drive in the township when it's snowing. So, because of I don't trust the other townships when it snows out, but I do trust Haverford Township. They do a great job in snow removal and salting. So thanks again, guys, and to all the emergency, all of our emergency workers who go out in the snow and in the whatever weather there is. When it was really cold last night, the wind blowing, they go out there, and I thank them for that. And I have nothing further.
Thank you very much. Mr. Secretary, you have any comment you'd like to give to?
As always, I appreciate all the support that the board provides me and the staff. We're looking forward to a very productive and exciting 2017. As you all know, we have a lot of pretty big projects we're going to be working on. We're looking forward to the completion of the Municipal Services Building, which should be late 2017. We'll be implementing a number of roadway improvements, storm improvements, sanitary improvements. Some particular that I'll mention is the multimodal transportation that Mr. Pannoni and his staff will be working with me. We'll institute that along Mill Road and Darby Road. That'll be sometime late summer. The CMAQ grant that we received for the traffic adaptive, that'll be all along Westchester Pike. That'll happen, and a number of additional stormwater improvements. So we have a busy 2017, and with Amy's financial leadership, I'm excited about another successful year. So, and the last thing is happy birthday to my oldest granddaughter, Ava, who turned 5 today. So 5 years ago, she was brought into this world at 3 pounds, and today you would never know it. She brings a smile to our face. So
3 pounds.
Happy birthday to Ava.
Oh, congratulations. Excellent. And in closing, I would just like to say that each year, this year is the second annual Fire Department Recognition Ceremony that is being held at the CREC on Wednesday, January 18th at 7 p.m. It's where the Board of Commissioners and the Bureau of Fire give certificates of recognition to our firefighters, volunteers who have served our community for 20 or more years, as well as those who have just graduated from their firefighting 1 training. So anybody who can attend, please do. Stop up at the CREC at Wednesday, January 18th at 7 o'clock and help us recognize our volunteer firefighters. Congratulations to Alex Green, again, for earning your Eagle Scout. I'll reiterate with Mr. Wexler, you know what, it's a shame, the chief of police even gets very frustrated that he spoke to me before about the overwhelming majority of the cars that are entered in Haverford Township are simply unlocked. And keys that are left in the car. So the car gets stolen. So please, it's lock the car. Take the keys in with you. But it's a shame. Overwhelming majority of the cars, they're not broken into. They're left unlocked. So with that, our next meeting, and thank you to all our staff. Thank you to all those who serve on our boards, and thank you for those who put in interest for those boards. The next public meeting will be our work session on February 6th, 7 o'clock here, and I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening.